through with Billy Island. I am excited about this season. Last season was so amazing. It was an experience. We learned a lot, us and the team, and hopefully you learned a lot as well following the episodes that we had last year. With this year, 2024, we're really excited, and I want to start out by leading with episode 1, talking about time, the leader's time. If you're a leader, you have time, and we all have the same amount of time. The leader's time is very important. Your time is very important because obviously time equals life. Seconds turn into minutes, minutes turn into days, days turn into months, months turn into years, and so on. And so time was really created by God for us to measure the severity of doing what we were created to do here on earth. The calendar, time, everything when it comes to time has something to do with humanity. It has nothing to do with God because God is eternal. He's eternity, and he doesn't function off of time. So the thing I would say today, if I wanted you to have a bottom line today, something to take home, what I want to tell you is make the best use of your time. Poet, dancer, singer, activist, and scholar Maya Angelou, she was a world famous author, and she was coined by this statement. She said, all great achievements require time. And so the quality of a person's time, is based on the quality of the person's leadership, because this is very important. The quality of a person's leadership depends on what happens during their day, during their time. Our character, our career, it all depends on how we spend our time, how we value our time. Benjamin Franklin said this: lost time is never found again. And I would go and venture and say that you have the most valuable thing today, and that's time. Each moment of each day is a gift that deserves care. It deserves stewardship. Our time is short, and the work that God has for us is great. And so as we continue in life, we want to value our time and understand that minutes turn into hours, and wisely, if we use it, it can turn into a very, very fruitful life. So time is precious, we know that, and we can squander it thoughtlessly. We can use it in a manner that is not pleasing, or it won't achieve what we're supposed to do here on earth. And so one of the greatest leaders there was in the Bible, his name was Moses, and he had a prayer. And his prayer was saying that I want to value my time, teach me how to measure my days. He wasn't saying teach me how to measure my years. This guy, this leader, he says, teach me to number my days. And that's very important. Teach me to number my days. And then the second part of this, Moses said, so that I can present to you a heart of wisdom. So he's saying so he can present to God a heart of wisdom, so you can look down, God, from heaven and say, wow, that person was wise with the time that I gave him. And he says, teach me to number my days. So every human being has 365 days in a year. So if he's saying number them, is he saying get a bowl and get little pieces of paper and put number 1 all the way to 365 and have 365 pieces in a bowl and take it out every day? Well, possibly. Maybe you would understand, or we will understand, the brevity of life and how short life is. And so many leaders, I've heard them say things like, I don't have time. And that's not necessarily true. It's just an excuse. Because that's a sheltered mind. It's a small mind, an insufficient person. But you're not that way. You're a person that value time, and because each and every last one of us have time to do the plan that God has for our lives. God has a plan for your life. And our problem is not too little time, but making best use of the time that we have. So each of us has as much time as anyone else. I remember there was a season in my life I was wondering, like, man, if I had that much time, I would do more with my life. I would accomplish more if I had more time. But the reality is it's not like I got 26 hours and someone else has 34 hours in a day. We all have the same amount of time allotted, and what we want to do is make the best of our time. But few of us, sad to say, use it wisely as we should. Few of us use our time in a productive manner so we can get a great harvest and a fruitful life. We're irresponsible with the time that we have. And so what I want to challenge you today, I want to challenge you to be responsible and be strategic with the use of your time. Because a leader in time is so important. There was another guy. He was a leader and he wrote a lot of books, some bestsellers. His name was Paul. Christians call him the Apostle Paul. He actually started up a lot of business. He was an entrepreneur. He was a tent maker. In the church world, they'll call him a church planter. He said something to a group of people when he was writing this best-selling letter called the Ephesians. And he was writing this letter to these individuals, and he said, make the most of your time because the days are evil. This guy, Paul, says, make the most of your time. Make the most of every opportunity, some translations say, because the days are evil. Time lost can never be recovered. Time cannot be hidden. It's only spent or invested well. The leader must carefully select his priorities, her priorities. The leader cannot spend time on secondary matters. That's why it's so important to plan out your day. A day needs to carefully be planned. The person who wants to excel, he wants to move forward, he must select and reject. Then concentrate on the most important items, the most important agenda. We have to select and reject. I want to lean in there for a moment because sometimes people, when you are led by your emotions, sometimes you feel like a rejection is bad, but you got to be able to say yes. And when you say yes, you're saying no to something. And when you say no, you're saying yes to something else. And so it's so important for you and I to understand we need to select and reject. And it's not personal. It's just the agenda that's at hand is much too large for you to waste your time. There was this guy, he's best known individual. I would say he's the most popular person ever on earth. This guy's name was Jesus. He set the perfect example of strategic use of time. He moved through life with measured steps. He never hurried. Though always he was surrounded with demands and crowds and people always in his space. And when a person approached Jesus for help, he gave them the impression that they were the only thing that mattered, the only person that mattered. Their agenda was so important. And through prayer and through strong connection, Jesus received each day like it was his last day. And the words that he would say told you that time mattered to him. You know, Jesus' greatest concern was to fulfill the work God had committed to him within the given hours. There was times when he said things like this: the hour has not come for the Son of Man to be glorified. He was not talking about a day, he was talking about an hour. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. He knew exactly when he was supposed to do it. He valued time. What better leader than Jesus? What better person than Jesus? Jesus gave his life for humanity. The highest level of leadership is a life of serving and giving. And Jesus done that well, better than anyone. He was second to none with his leadership. Jesus actually told his disciples one time, he said, are there not 12 days or 12 hours in a day? He was conscious of time. I mean, Jesus spent his time doing things that really mattered. And God has a plan for your life. And that plan is so important, but you and I, we need to make sure that we create a space where we can value time. That's so important. Valuing our time, scheduling our time. A leader needs a balanced approach. Unless he'll become bound and he'll be gripped by the procrastination of wasting time. Without a grip on time, the leader works under unnecessary strains, and the habit of putting off and procrastinating into tomorrow will always be fatal to a leader. So you got to do it now. A helpful method for overcoming the putting off mentality is to set deadlines. So make the best use of your time. How do you do that? How do you make the best use of your time? Well, I want to give you 3 simple things to do. Value time by acknowledging you only have so much. Value time. There's so many times I've been in meetings and counseling sessions with couples and with married individuals. But I'll never forget this meeting I was with. I was with a mentor of mine, and he was actually counseling a couple, and me and my wife was there. Me and my wife, Elena, was sitting there with this couple, and they were bickering and complaining about one another, and they were nitpicking about every little thing that was taking place in their marriage, and they were frustrated. And the mentor of mine, he got quiet, and he just kept listening and taking in what they were saying. I was like, wow, when is he going to actually interrupt them? Because this is just petty. Well, he listened and he listened and he listened, and I was gaining a heart of understanding of where they were coming from, and I was gaining a heart of compassion towards their situation as I heard them. And immediately, once he started speaking, it's like God's love just oozed into the place. And this man said something so profound and so powerful. He said, you guys are debating about these things that are very small. And he said, some people, they wish they had their spouse. Because we got to value time because we only have so much. When he said that, he was saying, I don't even have my father, my mother don't have her husband, and you are over here complaining about these small things. And I'm not trying to belittle arguments, because I have, arguments and debates that I wish I wouldn't have had either. But if you really value time, if we learn to value time as leaders, we'll begin to acknowledge that we don't have much. So we got to make the most of our time. Another thing to help value time is to actually set a calendar for your moments. Not just days, but your moments. I remember there was a season when I would write down every moment of the day, what was going to happen. I was going to study at this time. I was going to have a meeting at this time. I was going to stop and check my emails at this time. And then I had a little asterisk there, and on my calendar or my schedule, I would say, this is enough time for interruptions. Because life just brings all types of things in your life that you just never planned for. And so I'll put a little asterisk there, and I say I have about an hour for interruptions because someone's going to interrupt me. But set a calendar for your moments so you can make the most use of your time. And this is something that hit me this morning. The scripture that Moses wrote, it was actually a prayer to God. He said, teach me to number my days so that I can present a heart of wisdom to you. And I felt like I had been doing that for the last few years, but I would start looking back at my life, and I said, God, when did it become so serious to serve you? Yes, I know you want me to be strategic. Yes, I know you want me to calculate my time and make the most of my time. But also, last but not least, if you want to make the best use of your time, enjoy every moment like it's your last. And that's a goal for me this year. The goal is for me to grow and be a person, because it's all about me becoming someone that enjoy every moment, making the most of my time, enjoying these seasons, enjoy time with your family, enjoy time when you're leading people. I know you have stressful deadlines and you have a lot of things you got to accomplish in a day. You have all these things in your heart, this vision and this passion that you have to accomplish so many things, help so many people, serve so many agendas. But do not forget, enjoy every moment like it's your last. Enjoy every moment. And that's the best use of your time. Joy. Someone once quoted, the joy actually gives me strength. The joy of the Lord. There's joy and it gives you strength, because life is too short to not enjoy every single moment. So what do? Being that we're leaders, we lead people, we serve people, we help people. You lead your family, you lead your marriage, you lead a small group, you lead a group of people, you lead an organization. You're a leader. So what do? You value time. How do you value time? Well, you acknowledge that you don't have much. And what do? You set calendars. You set calendars for every single moment, not just a year. He says, teach me to number my days. Remember, you can never get time back. And so enjoy every moment like it's your last. Now, this is what I want you to do with your time now. I want you to rate. I want you to review. I want you to make a comment about this podcast. I want you to share it with other people. I want you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We need you. It would mean the world to me if you could get this content out to other people, because I believe that we should build a leadership community so we can know that we're not alone, we have similar experiences, and we can make the most of our time this year. So thank you so much for joining us once again for Leading Through with Billy Island.